Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Hi everybody, my name is Carrie White and I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Carrie.
Probably a drug addict too. I would say since I got here drooling on myself at the Venice Methadone Clinic, walking around the house with a propane torch twice this size, and if it melted, I smoked it. And I was somebody's mom. Anyway, I still am, but you know what I mean. I want to thank Jason for asking me to speak tonight. I want to thank him for my cake. And the life that I have had with you in my life as my friend, and I just love and respect you so much. You've been a professional leader to me in your discipline and work ethics, and a great example of Alcoholics Anonymous to me, sweetheart, and a wonderful dad. And Alicia, I just couldn't even love you more. It's like, you know, I have sponsored a lot of people and with 29 years, and those relationships are like, I have 5 kids of my own out in my body, but we'll get to that. And 3 husbands before I was 29. But the sponsorship relationships are so personal, it's like giving birth out your heart. And to see you two come together and be an example of sober parents, it heals my not regretting the past and wishing to shut the door on it, because I always have. I mean, I was bananas, and you know, like I say, I was somebody's mother. I can't change that. I can change myself in my life, that I have been able to do and be a better person through Alcoholics Anonymous, but that was their childhood. And so Alcoholics Anonymous so generously presented me with opportunity to work with young girls and guide them and be the mother that I never had, or that I couldn't be for my own children. And that was a pain and a scar that I never wanted to get sober for, to ever have to face. You know, we always say like, oh, I don't, you know, well, I always say, I don't know what you always say, but I was so anesthetized. I didn't want to feel anything. Oh, I didn't want to feel anything. No, I wanted to feel good. You know, I just didn't want to feel bad. You know, I don't mind feeling good. I'll take those feelings. And so the idea to get sober and have to feel bad about my behavior was another reason to have another drink, you know. So anyway, I wanted to say that about that. And Peter, you have been such a beautiful friend to me, and a loving, beautiful example of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I respect and love you and all your care you've always given to me and always been there for. And there's just, you know, you've had some difficulty with this program, and clearly it tells us in chapter 5 that Andrew was talking about, that it says there are some that have a difficult time, but it says they are not at fault. And it's really important that we don't fault each other around here. This is the last stop, Texaco. You know, that's an old song. Anyway, you guys probably don't remember that. Anyway, who remembers Texaco? That's a gas. That used to be a gasoline station. Oh my God, I wish 29 years of life was on my driver's license, not in my AA program. Well, anyway, I lived. So it says they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. And all of the experience that you have ever had here is credible. It's sober experience. It's just whatever you were doing or whatever somebody is doing who's relapsing, just it's not enough. And I always tell Peter, we need to grow roots here. I got some good roots in here because I didn't come here to have a bad time. I already had a bad time, and I knew if I could be serious about my program, I could have fun in my life. That's what I wanted. I love the part where it says we are not a glum lot. I go, well, good. I like the part where it says we are not saints. I'm like, all right. And my favorite part is do not be discouraged. God, that was so significant to me when I got that and how it works. Do not, almost like an order, do not be discouraged, Then I like the 12th step. It says we practice these principles in all our affairs. I thought, oh, good, we're having affairs. I still don't know what a butt-trusted servant is. I don't know. Our leaders are butt-trusted servants. I don't know what that is. I love Jasmine talking about she drank and went to college. I drank and barely graduated high school. I don't know. I never trust people that went to college that are alcoholics. Are you sure you're an alcoholic? No, that's right. All right. So anyway, I just want to say that, people that have a difficult time here, getting this program, need more love, not less, need more help, not less, need better welcoming, not attitude, and it's really our responsibility, as it tells us another thing in how it works, is that the only authority is a loving God, and that was my guidance for how to be a sponsor. Am I sponsoring like a tyrant or a meanie or a bossy or a know-it-all, or am I being an example of the authority is a loving God? So, and I hate that term that's come around, I fired my sponsor. Really? And how about her medical and her insurance? How did that go? It's like, or I fired my sponsee or my baby. It's like, we don't hire anybody here. Nobody comes in here with counseling licenses and all that stuff. We're just one drunk helping another drunk. When I was new, I didn't need a doctor to tell me how I was living wasn't a good idea. And any more than somebody who's never smoked telling somebody to quit smoking. Yeah, well, how do you do that? Well, I don't know. I never smoked. Well, you're a lot of help. And it's the same thing for somebody taking a cake. Gee, we had a lot of wisdom and authority up here taking cakes that share something. Everybody's going to want what you have. But if you come up here and you say, I don't know how I did this. Well, first of all, you didn't by yourself. And if you don't know how you did it, how are you going to help anyone else? Now, of course, when we're new, it's all I'm still thawing out, don't get me wrong. I'm still waiting for that last booster to kick in, too, somehow. But it's important that we know that we share our own experience, strength, and hope. And my experience, strength, and hope might not be the same as Andrew's when his first year, or whatever he's going to say to somebody, but we both have time. And when I was new, somebody said to me, go help him, he's new. I had 3 days of sobriety, and I said, what, are you crazy? I have 3 days of sobriety. She said, go talk to him, he's got 3 minutes. That's all. It's, driving here, I was thinking about AA and the life that I have had that has been above ground for 29 years, because I was dead when I got here. And I was thinking, you have, I get it. I won't say you have, I don't mean it like that. But I can't even tell you how deep keep it simple can be. How rich that little silly sentence when I say, keep it simple. I'm like, what? That can be such a guide for a way of life that really helps us grasp and develop a manner of living. It doesn't say we get. we grasp and develop, you know. And we always shout out, God could and would if he were sought. I'm always thinking, why aren't we yelling out, probably no human power could relieve us? Because I believe the real cellular difference of alcoholism is that codependency, that I'm not enough, this makes me better. I have to add something, you know, that I believe you know, first of all, both my parents were alcoholic. I always say I was conceived in a vat of alcohol, my mother's womb, and the seed was loaded, Dad, and, you know, I just came out looking for my drink. The truth is, I'm a absolute believer that you don't plant 2 peaches and get a pineapple. So I knew I was an alcoholic, and I never had a problem with that. I never had a problem with step 1. I kind of, being powerless was kind of part of my favorite part of it, you know. When I started smoking, I think I was about 7, and I learned how to French inhale, and people would say it when I was 8. And then people would say, doesn't that get you dizzy? I go, yeah, that's my favorite part. You know, I mean, I was always about being powerless. I always say my only exercise was jumping to conclusions. So, without a net if I was feeling wild. Okay. Is there a clock in here anymore? You got my time. Okay. There were some lovely things when I first came in that I don't hear anymore before I get us all running around in spandex pants and roller skates. And one was we come to meetings to quiet the screaming in our heads so we can hear the whisper of our hearts. And that was really soothing for me because I had talk about personalities, I had about 15 people yelling inside of me, all wanting to wear different outfits. And I somehow got through that my disease lives in my head, but my recovery lives in my heart, and how beautiful that they both don't live in the same place. And when I do quiet the screaming in my head, my heart doesn't betray me. My heart wants to be sober. Only my head with the alcoholism would ever tell me, based on my track record, I don't know about you or where you've been, but there is no way that it is ever a good idea for me to have another drink or another drug based on my background or my track record. But yet that was the only solution I knew. And I had no idea anything had a beginning, middle, or an end. You know, it was just one long day. And I was on this surfboard with no land in sight. My idea of a good evening was a 6-day run. And so I know that my job here in Alcoholics Anonymous, and this is what I've done here, is protect my sanity. Because when I'm saying I want to be sober, when I'm saying I want to do the right thing, when I'm saying I know that even if I think a drink might be fun, I have the capacity to think it through and not think of my first drink, but think of my last one, or being in the fetal position at the dealer's doorstep in Laurel Canyon at 6 in the morning, waiting, begging for that I could have a granule of God knows what, you know, to smoke or snort or something. So being responsible to my sanity was like what it was like out there was being responsible to my drug program. My disease lives in the workshop of my insanity. And so they give us something here called HALT, to stop, just to pause when, how does that go? Pause when aggravated, what's that word? Agitated. Oh, they give us some big words around here, don't they? Agitated. Really? Why not aggravated? Why have to be agitated? You know what I mean? A resentment. That was a big word. How about consecutive? What the hell? What are you talking about? Oh, did you sot the dealer? Are you willing to buy a gram? You know what I mean? What is this language, you know? Damn, I had a half-nil evening the other night. You know, it's like, half measures avail us nothing. I told my sponsor, well, what do you mean? Why can't half measures avail me half? She says, when did you ever ask for a half a drink or a half a gram? I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So they give us this thing called HALT. And I can never be reminded about this. It's as important to me today as it was to me when I had 29 seconds. And that is, when I am crazy, I have a way to track and see what's going on. I can stop this thing, because if I get too crazy, I will drink. How come you drink? Oh, I was just crazy. Oh, well, that's not a good idea. So, if I don't eat right, I can get crazy. And that's what the hungry, angry, lonely stands for in the word HALT. So hunger means I'm responsible for my food. You know, if I'm just doing Twinkies and coffee and smoking a cigarette any time I'm taking a deep breath, that's going to get me crazy. I think people get away with murders. They call them Twinkie murders, you know, if you have enough sugar or something. You can, I always say sugar cane, cocaine, Novocaine, whatever, yeah. The cane family. So I'm responsible for my food, because if I go till 3 o'clock and I don't eat, that makes me crazy. And crazy's dangerous for me. I don't know about you, but for me it's dangerous. And then anger, it tells us in Alcoholics Anonymous, let's see, was it Mark? Who took our cake? Wait, where's those cake people? Let's see. Was Mark talking about read the book? It's in the book. Marty. Yeah, it's all in the book. So it tells us that resentments is our number one offender. Number one, not like it's in there. Number one offender. And then I heard a resentment is when I take the poison and wait for you to die. Oh, really? Okay, that sounds clever. It's a little over my head, but and now I finally see what they mean, because I'll hold the resentment, I'll be pissed off, I get crazy, and you don't even know I'm mad at you. And then they told me if I get really mad at somebody and I get a resentment, that big word again, that there's a place in the big book where it tells us in Freedom of Bondage, kind of place is this? It tells us if I get a resentment that I'm supposed to pray for somebody for 2 weeks. I said, well, I will never get that mad at anybody. I'm not praying for them. So I've never had a resentment in 29 years. I hate you and I won't pray for you. No, I'm kidding. They are to be nipped in the bud. Not because it's not okay for me to not be mad at you, but because it will take me out. And I don't need to know just what to do when I want to be sober. I need to know what to do when I want to drink. You know, when somebody says to me, oh, don't worry about me, I got a problem, but I don't feel like drinking. But drinking or using isn't an option. I go, why? Aren't you an alcoholic? Of course it's an option. It'll dress itself in another outfit, but it is still a drink waiting to happen. I didn't have salt in my house the first 3 years. I was afraid I'd want a margarita. And my kids, if they wanted to punish me, they go, tin foil. I'm like, don't you say that, you know that gets me crazy, when I was like really new. And then I almost wanted to drink because we were trying to work saran wrap. Oh, that was impossible. So I just ate everything. I never put anything away. That was good. That was me in the recovery house. Okay, so hunger, I need to be responsible to my food, because I could get crazy, and when I get crazy I could drink. Anger takes me out. And lonely doesn't mean are you lonely tonight. It means the one thing that I have heard in 29 years, the people that go out, they stop going to meetings. Hear me now. I've never been to a bad meeting. Some are better than others. But I've never been to a bad meeting. I've been to meetings all over the world. I'm with my favorite people, drug addicts and alcoholics. We are the pulse of the city. We know what's happening. Whatever you need, it's all in here. Just like I'm always with my favorite people, drug addicts and alcoholics. Now I'm with sober ones, and we all remember our names, kind of, sort of. But we do know where we parked our car, which is another treat. And my shoes match. I'd wake up, I go, well, I don't remember hanging that painting in my room. Oh, you're not in your room. That was like, people used to talk about the coyote principle. I don't know if you ever heard that one, where you wake up and you're with someone and you rather chew your arm off than wake them up and get out of there. old timers, they had no patience for it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to fire my sponsor. It was like, shut up, you know. We don't want what you got, newcomers. You want what we got, you know. And they would just be so rough on the way we needed to behave. But it's good. I didn't know how to take care of myself. Anyway, so everybody stops going to meetings that seem to go out. Not to mention, I know people that go out that have commitments at meetings, that love this program, that have a sponsor and even sponsor people. And it's one insane moment. It's not one insane moment. It's something that nobody told their sponsor, something that's starting to go on. It's something that's, that this is my experience through sponsoring people. That's secret. And that thing is, and I know this for myself, if there's something that I don't want to tell my sponsor, why? What's wrong with it, you know? So I say to you, as an old timer, if there's something you don't want to tell somebody, that's exactly what you need to tell somebody. And it dilutes the power of it, and it helps treat it, because I don't know about you, but if I got myself programmed for a drink, or a drink was a better idea for me, then you couldn't stop me. We know that. We couldn't be stopped before we got here. And I think the reason why it's so difficult to finally come in here is that we have so much invested into serving our disease. You got to serve somebody, maybe the devil and maybe the Lord, but you got to serve somebody. So you're either in recovery or you're in disease, is what I was told when I was new. So my idea of, like, you know, the L, I'm still with the HALT thing in case anybody's with me. So the isolating and the L for lonely and not coming to meetings is that when I feel lonely and somebody will say, let's go out, let's come to a meeting. Oh, I'm feeling a little lonely, I'm going to stay in tonight. It's like, what? My solution for loneliness is to isolate. And that's exactly, oh, here's another big word I learned in sobriety, contrary action. I never said that before I got here. Oh, I'm going to take some contrary action tonight, boy. I'm going to another dealer. You know, it's like I learned how to speak like a grown-up here. I love how Andrew said, you know, it's hard growing up at 37. Oh, believe me, I'm still Arrested Development. And then T for tired. That's a form of torture, T for torture. They keep people up for days to sign confessions of murders they didn't even do. So I need to be responsible to my sleep. All these things are things that are just protect us. I paid good attention to my drug program. I didn't wait for the dealer to call and say, how's your gram, dearie? Is it down a little? You know, and if somebody goes out and they say, oh, my sponsor wasn't home. Oh, yeah, and if the dealer wasn't home, did you get sober? No, you called another one. You know what I mean? It's like we're not stupid, we're just crazy. So hungry, angry, lonely, tired is something to file away and keep, and like I say, it's as important to me with 29 years. I love the celebration for the 1 year is hard. You know, the worst thing that can happen to me, the biggest enemy of my sobriety is complacency. If I thought, oh, I know everything, oh, I'm Carrie White, I got 29 years, I'm not going to hear, I'm not going to get the treatment, I'm not going to get the enthusiasm. You infuse me. You give me the joie de vivre. You give me the lust for life. You give me the ambition that I don't even know I have. Of myself, I run out. And this is an area where we are on sacred grounds. You know, you come into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and there is a pulse of higher power in action, because all of us, I don't know, not only should we be drunk, if you don't believe in life after death, pinch your ass. Nobody came in here because they got a broken fingernail, you know. I mean, it took me 6 hospitals to get clean. And I'll back up a little bit. So I started mixing drinks for my mother and her boyfriend because my father left when I was about 2 years old. And if it was too full, I would start sipping it to bring it over to my mother, who they were lounging in the living room. And it was warm, it was sweet, it was my connection to my mother. And I got a buzz, and I got it. Oh, alcohol. Oh, well, yeah, that's good. And I started mixing one for myself by the time I was 7 years old, like I had my own little drink. And when I'd skip out from Burton Way to get ready to go to Rosewood Elementary School, and my mother was away from her desk, she was an artist, and I sipped her coffee cup, and it was all laced with bourbon in the morning. And I went, oh, I get it. You put it in everything. And that was my lessons. These were my, oh, okay. And I just protected and served my disease until this stepfather picked us up. He moved us out to a little town called Pacoima, and that was like rough and crazy. And then he became a molesting, child abusing, sexual predator, and it became safer for me to be across the tracks in San Fernando and be with gangs. I was like this little mascot. I got a nickname, Suki. That was me. and I'd just be scampering all around with it. Everybody was like, you know, in their 20s, most of them, but there were like guys 14, 15, 16, younger brothers and stuff, and my best friend Beverley. We would have our boyfriends, and they would get beer, and we would smoke and French inhale our cigarettes. And one time one of these parties got busted, and the police came in and they said, how old are you? I said, well, I'm fine. How are you? They said, that's the wrong answer. You're coming with us. And so at 10 years old, I was arrested for being drunk, and I certainly didn't pick up that phone and say, oh, I think I have a problem, you know, with alcoholics. No, I got the message from my disease to protect and serve my alcoholism, because I never wanted anybody to take this away from me. You know, and that's why I say we have so much invested, we don't want to let it go. We can't, I believe we can't believe that we don't want it, that it can't work, this can't be true. You know, I mean, I'm the kind of drunk that, like, if I'm going to throw up, I hold my mouth for the vomit in it, because I don't want to lose that liquor. And if my nose is bleeding from cocaine, I'll hold my nose because I don't, with a bloody nose, because I don't want that coke to go out, you know. And I just was like a science project, and believe me, I did everything from angel dust to peyote and Joshua tree and mescaline and whatever it is, a drug of choice, yours, and I'll get home and do mine, and you know, and that's just how it was. It was like this machine that was just working. And my beautiful friend Beverley, who was my best friend in grammar school out in Pacoima, somebody found me later in sobriety, and they had this reunion, and I said, God, where's Beverley? What happened to Beverley? And they said, Beverley had 2 kids by the time she was 21, and to support them and her heroin habit, she started prostituting. And by the time she was 21, she just couldn't do it one more day, and she blew her brains out. 21 years old, all that. That's the gift of alcoholism. You stay here, it gets better, period. You go out, it gets worse. I've seen it, you know. And it's not like the knowledge that I'm telling you. It's just, you take that to your own brains, because like I say, nobody in this room is stupid. You know, we're just crazy to think that another drink or another drug is a good idea. It's a sad, crazy thing that we have to be talked into life. I always say, you know, we got a long time to be dead. What was the rush? I was like, just on this mission. And I'd never heard of the word alcoholism. But I know that in my whole life, everybody I was ever attracted to and all the circles that I ran with, it was like I didn't want to know anybody that was normal. I still like find sippers annoying. Not slippers, sippers. You know, and I can spot them across any room in any restaurant. Oh, that guy, when the hell is he going to finish that drink? So annoying, they make my skin itch. Those people. So there's Beverley. She's gone, just like that for no reason, not even knowing, you know, that there was a cure. My mother, a cure or a treatment or recovery. My mother eventually flipped out after Johnny got caught and ran all over the place, and I ended up in a foster home for about almost 4 years, and then she came back and picked me up again after I had it all figured out in San Fernando, and picked me up and brought me back to Hollywood, and now here I am, the perfect Pachuco in Hollywood High. That was another cultural shock. And then I met the Dreen sisters, Dexedrine, Benzedrine, and these fancy chicks that were like with fox sweaters and vodka gimlets, and well, what the hell, you know? Well, I'm used to people biting off beer tops, you know, like, you know. Anyway, and so I just was an imitator, you know, always, you know, surviving and blending in, and you know, my alcoholism served me in a lot of ways to survive my own environment, my home, and that was going on. So then Hollywood High, that was crazy, but this is all too big of a story right here and right now. But I just started doing diet pills, and then I could like stay up later, and then I could polish all the gravel in your driveway, and let's paint the town. I mean, seriously, let's paint it. I was like, I'll pinstripe. I learned that in Pacoima on the lowriders, you know, on all the cars. So then Hollywood High, and that was like Sunset Strip and watching the chariots go by. I still like, and I used to work at this place. When I went to Hollywood High, I'd paint the signs. Miles Davis coming, Lou Rawls, Les McCann, all these people. It's now the House of Blues, that little corner. It used to be, it's always a club. And somebody introduced me to hairdressing, and you know, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I don't know. Somebody said, "What'd you get on your GPA?" This is at Hollywood High. I said, "I don't know. I don't think I took GPA. What is that?" I was like, I never heard the word academic. How much time do I have, Strawberry? 12 minutes. Okay. So my whole life, you know, basically was I drank and used for as long as I could, and then I drank and used 10 years after that. But everything was like one thing after another. I was like Mrs. Magoo, you know, like falling off a building, and then a plank would be there, and then I go this way, and then a car, something else, somebody would catch me or something. And not a decision was made in my whole life that alcoholism didn't make. It dictated everything, who I was with, you know, everything. And so when I went to beauty school, because everybody was going off to college, and somebody had introduced me to hairdressing, you know, I found a whole nother group of crazy people that, you know, I gravitated to. And some guy asked me to marry him, and I was like, I was putting myself through beauty school at Bob's Big Boy, and working at night, you know, I was up. And anyway, I had to put myself through beauty school, and I was back at the foster home again. They let me come in there, so I was living there and going to beauty school in the valley in the daytime, and working at Bob's Big Boy at night, and doing more in the diet pills, and flipping out and getting crazy. And some guy that, like, when there was a night off, we'd all go dancing and drinking, and we'd gravitate to each other, asked me to marry him, and I said, yeah, sure, fine. And so he didn't come home one night, and he wasn't with a girl, he was with a guy, and I said, well, that's nice, but I don't think I want to work with this. And so I ended up, he wasn't all that gay for 5 minutes, I ended up being pregnant, and I had and here I am. I'm pregnant. Our marriage is annulled. I'm like still in beauty school. I don't have a license or any way to support myself. Everything is horrible. I know I'm an alcoholic. Clearly, I didn't know the word, but I knew that I was. And I gave that child up for adoption. And the reason why I tell you this is because I never dreamed I'd ever see her again. But because I worked these steps, you know, 29 years ago, and found that guy that I had, you know, was really mean to him, made amends to him. When he got the phone call from our daughter, he called me. He knew where I was, and I wasn't drooling on myself at the Venice Methadone Clinic. And he said, remember our child? I'm like, oh, how could I forget? Hello, I delivered her. And he said, well, I had dinner with her last night, and she's looking for you. May I give her your phone number? And if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous, you know, I would never have met her and have her in my life these last 25 years. I had 5 years of sobriety. But my mother didn't have the good fortune of recovering in any kind of way in her life. And she died at 54 years old in County General Hospital. And she didn't see her favorite movie star coming out of their 19th rehab or have any information to recovery or alcoholism. And they never even mentioned the word alcoholic or alcoholism in County General Hospital. It wasn't just denial with the alcoholic, it was also with the universe. It's a conversation today. We're so lucky. And when my mother died, they wrote on her death certificate that she died of pneumonia, making it a shame to die of what she actually died from. So I always say, this is not a shame-based program. This is an illness. If I could have made my drink or my drug do something different, because there were those people, oh, you want some Coke? I have some left over from last Friday. I'm like, what the hell? Give it to me. You don't even deserve it. You know, like, jerk. And so not everybody that has a drink is an alcoholic, or even who's, you know, going around using, you know, casually heroin. I don't think that's the same story. I just do crack at night. Okay. I scared the dealer. I was such a mess. I looked like an aerial view of Vietnam. I was like in this jumpsuit I couldn't seem to jump out of for about 6 years. When I got to Alcoholics Anonymous after 6 hospitals and waiting for a ride to get to the recovery house, I had like 6 teeth in my head that looked like they were made out of wood. And I have about 14 hairs popping out of the top of my head. My tailbone stuck out further than my ass. I weighed like 87 pounds. And I thought, oh, really? I don't like the woodwork in this place. Like, you know, it's like the ego never dies. You know, the alcoholic ego, you know, no, I don't have 1 shopping cart. I have 2. Oh, yeah. Shoes? I don't need shoes. You know, it's so against our heart and soul what this disease does and what it takes. And what Alcoholics Anonymous gives back to us, it's not even imaginable. Whoever you are, whatever's going on with you, you have dreams you have not realized you have inside of you. When I got sober, I had no idea I would end up standing here in Rodeo talking to you guys 29 years later, telling you I just came back from Salt Lake City because my grandson, my firstborn, just graduated high school and picked me up at the airport, the kid I flew to see when he was born, for my daughter, trying to make amends to my daughter. And now I have 10 grandchildren. All these 20 eyes look at me and go, Nana. I love them. I never knew I was going to see Paris again. I never knew I was going to get to go to Saint-Tropez. I never heard of Saint-Tropez. I think it was in a song, but I didn't know. You know, when I went to Paris when I was using, somebody said, did you see the Louvre? I'm like, the Louvre? I went to Regine's. There's just, you know, like I say, we have a long time to be dead. If we pay attention to this program, it gives us the ability to maneuver through this world. And we all know every saying before we get here. One day at a time? Oh, hell yes, we live like that. No matter what, nobody's in this room that didn't live no matter what. Willing to take direction? Oh, what, Gardena? Yeah, free Graham? Really? What? I'm not good at directions, but I'll take them. Don't be late. Oh, no problem. Oh, I'm sorry, where's the log cabin? That's a little out of my area. Only an alcoholic doesn't want the treatment. You don't find a cancer person that says, go here and get your treatment so you're going to treat your cancer and say, oh, I don't feel like it today. No. It's a self-diagnosed. Unfortunately, nobody can make us get well but ourselves. But if we get to that quiet place and quiet that screaming in our heads, and we get to our heart of hearts, we want to stay sober. We want to have a life. We don't want our kids to get that phone call. We don't want our parents to get that, oh, I found Jimmy in the dumpster. Is this your son? You know, it's like, it's just, alcoholism's been here before us. It'll be here after us. If you're a drug addict or an alcoholic like me, there's never enough. And Alcoholics Anonymous has ever not been enough for me. Thank you so much.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. And let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.